Yeah, you'd mentioned earlier, Pat, about possibly expressing what you need to your partner. Like you had made a mention about your daughter helping you clean out the garage.
Yep.
And you gave the invitation. You mentioned it just briefly, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm doing something else." Then you use the statement, which kind of locks her attention in, like, "Oh, this is important to Dad. Maybe this is something I should do." In the midst of whether it's a marriage or just a family relationship, you did say it's a request. They can always deny that
Sure.
request. So
Yep.
have you ever seen that happen after using such a statement and the other person's just like, man, I'd love to do that. I can't do it right now or whatever. And they have to deny their request. Is there greater hurt that's felt when it's not reciprocated, or it's like, hey, you know what? I was just being open and vulnerable, and there's always a risk of
Yep.
that happening. I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, both are true. There is always the risk that they will forget that time or sometime, and you may experience less care. But all of this is operating under some version of the Genesis mandate. So in a leadership team, we're in covenant to be united. So it's saying we're going to care for each other, we're going to know each other, we're going to really support each other. So that in that context, we can ask for care and have some reasonable expectation that somebody's going to make some attempt to express care. In a marriage, obviously the Genesis mandate, but we'll never do it perfectly because we're fallen and we forget, and sometimes things are just impossible. I will say, our on that day, I went out and started cleaning. She says, "Yes, Dad, I do want to be that. We're going to run to the thrift store, and I'm going to get back and help you. I want to help you." And they went to the thrift store, and she was like chewing on my wife, saying, "We need to get home. I told Dad I was going to help him clean the garage," and it became this internal motivation. She didn't end up getting back in time to help me, but the important thing was it shaped her view of the task to an opportunity to be a relational thing, even if she fails. And then, and I think the caveat is if we have that agreement, if it's in a relationship, and I'm hoping in our marriages it would be in the context of the Genesis mandate, we would have the courage to say, "I really want to care for you, and I want those needs to be met. I'm not sure that's the way I can do it, or I can't do it right now. Can we talk about other ways I can express care? I don't want to abdicate my responsibility to care for you. I'm just saying I don't think this is going to work now in this place." And so we can still express care even if though the specific request they made may not be fulfilled. And that can add care. Oh, they're not rejecting me. It's just not plausible right now. And occasionally we'll run into that.
Sure.
If as an example, so this would be the way I would typically just encourage anyone. If I'm up front closing out a meeting, and this is the way I would say it typically. Hey gang, I would feel so supported if everybody could just grab a chair and stack it up on your way out. That would just be such a blessing. Even a simple request like that is a call to relationship, a call to love and care, not let's just all do a task. And so I want, and as a alpha, as a doer, as a task-oriented person, I work really, really hard to try to engage everybody in the possibility of seeing life as lots of stuff needs doing, and we can do it in a connected relational way. In many cases, there are exceptions to that. In many cases, we can greatly increase how connected we feel, even when we're doing tasks. And so that's the call of it. I want people to see the opportunity to express care in those. But occasionally, some people just forget. There's some that Cindy and I have modeled at a retreat or something, and she just forgets, doesn't ever do anything with it. And sometimes I'll bring it up again because I know that's not her heart. I know that's not her heart, is to neglect those things. She would legitimately just forget. And so some of those covenants are important to how much courage we can have in being assertive. So if I'm asking a stranger, I'm probably not going to take huge risk. I'm not going to express huge vulnerability. And if someone over time, a neighbor or something, doesn't seem to want to be in a relationship or express that level of connection, I may change how I respond to them. But we encourage in our church to form those kind of commitments to care for each other in small group context or anything. It's just This is how we want to express things to each other and be ready to express care when we can. It's not always possible. It's always built up.
Hey, Pat, I have a question kind of related to the assertiveness side of it, which might have the same answer in here, but sometimes I think people can err in over assertive. Hypothetically speaking, people in my marriage could over, me or my wife. I think that's the direction.
Remember, this is being recorded, Rich.
Yeah, we can err in that, either one of us. But then sometimes it could be a little subjective. Like, hey, that's coming across a little demanding. Oh, no, it's not. I'm just sharing my heart, And it's like, I don't know if there's ways to, help temper over assertiveness, when it comes up, or how to. But I don't know if it ties back into that same, like, hey, this is how we've covenanted to go about this, or what. If you have thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I think a couple of things come to mind. I don't know if either one of them apply it, how you're communicating that. I do think we can look at these tools and pull them out when there's a challenge, and not really make deposits of care that kind of create that ongoing connection, that sense of place. John Gottman, secular guy, but he's called the positive sentiment override. And so if we're in this caring place where we're in this rhythm of expressing relational need care to one another and making room and comforting one another and just feeling, just kind of this rhythm of walking close together, I can get up or walk in the room and say, hey, honey, could you make me a cup of coffee? I'm in the middle of something. And if she's feeling loved and cared for and secure, it's like, oh man, I'd love to do that. Yeah, I'd love to care for you that way. And if we're not feeling connected, or we're in conflict, or if I'm just being an oaf for a season, I could come out and say the same thing, and I say, hey, could you please make me a cup of coffee in the middle of something? And she'd go like, she would never say this out loud, but she could feel, well, you big jerk, when you haven't expressed any care, why are you making these? I mean, it could have a completely different landing. So again, the goal of this is not to do assertiveness well. The goal is to find connection. And assertiveness is a tool to actually be known. So if we only pull it out when we want something, and there's always the danger, these are dangerous relational tools. This is con man 101. Actually, it's con man 301. This is heavy stuff in terms of getting people to move them where you want them to be, and you understand people. So I think it is really important to covenant together that this is for care and connection, not just that I get my way. That the goal is connection, and that's a constant little thing you have to tweak and pay attention to. That we're giving. It's a relationship of care, not just, ooh, I have needs, I can use this tool to get you to meet them. So that would be the other piece I think that's important. And even if it does feel that way, I probably wouldn't debate it. I'd probably, whenever anybody expresses hurt to me, this is my first instinct. This is my goal is to have this first instinct. I don't always do it well. My goal would be, let me hear their hurt. Let me hear what's going on underneath what they just said. And so, as an example, if I made an assertiveness statement to Cindy and she said, that seems a little demanding, that seems a little unreasonable, it seems like you're not really considering how that might land in my world, I go, okay, is there something else going on here that's shaping this? Or is there something I could have done better? So the goal in all of this, if the goal, Genesis mandate is true, the goal is connection, is oneness, not rightness. Doesn't mean we never get around to actually figuring out the facts. But is the Greg Chrisman and others have used this idea that the relationship is bigger than the problem. Whatever it is, the relationship is more important than the problem. So let's stay in that. We have the solution over here that we have to find. We have the answer, the rightness of it, and then we have the care of people. And to always just keep that tension that care is primary. Eventually, you will be able to have very difficult, challenging conversations because people feel safe in the relationship. Doesn't mean we don't have hard conversations. Please do not hear that. But we do it in a way that people feel cared for and connected, and not like I'm not going to get kicked to the curb. I'm not going to be devalued. I'm not going to be judged or disrespected. Then we can say all kinds of hard things. to one another. And we have to. There's lots of hard stuff that happens in life.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's helpful. I can maybe relate to some of that. Yep.
Yeah, Pat, another one. Oh, I'm sorry. Ben, were you about to say something, brother? Oh, you're on mute. I can't hear what you're saying anyway, but
Go for it.
Okay, I thought that's what you might have said. Yeah, in the same vein, when working with couples as a facilitator, when you walk them through this tool, there's some couples that tend to be more needy than others, and they make a lot of requests of the other often throughout their marriage. So when you start to pick up on that, is there and maybe this is a conversation for another day, is there a way you would kind of guide the couple to not looking at each other for the primary source for their needs and kind of redirecting them to fix their eyes on Jesus for those things? Or is that just a hard saying in the midst of facilitating, or how would you go about that kind of scenario?
A number of things. First of all, I think getting that vertical, making sure the vertical relationship is established. I don't know if it's always, his system is always the primary way our needs are going to be met, but I'm not sure we're always going to feel connected to him. So events like Dark Night of the Soul or deep grieving, where we have a hard time connecting with Jesus, there's going to be seasons where explicitly he wants to use people as a primary means of bringing care to us. So, but I do think, is your vertical relationship established? And so when I think about all the right brain stuff like soul care and relational theology, is the left side of obedience, knowing the word, obedience-based discipleship, kingdom-based discipleship, truth-based discipleship, is that all at least being built? Is there a structure? It doesn't mean it has to be fully formed, but is that happening? If it's not, it's never going to, the right brain alone will never make somebody happy or healthy or mature. We need both. We need the truth, and we need care. And so that would be a question I would have. The second would be, hey, it seems like here's a few things you've mentioned. What kind of goals have you set to bring care to your mate? And how are you doing at that? And so to try to bring back the idea that this is a covenant and a relationship, not a unending credit card of requests. But what have you done? What are you doing? What are you asking God? How are you expressing care for your mate or the body? How are you bringing your gifts? How are you bringing your love? How are you bringing all that into relationship with other people as you are recognizing rightly you have needs and you enjoy the care of people? What are you doing? And help them set some goals. And they go, oh, wait a minute. I thought this was about me. Well, clearly then there's more instruction. And we've had that. We've definitely had that. Well, okay. Now I get it. Sometimes they change, sometimes they don't. But those would be the two big things, is make sure they're at least working on the structure of the left side of truth and maturing and being strong in the word and obedience. But then also, that's how we do it. Tell me what your goals are to bring care to your mate.
As far as like when assertiveness is used, like a couple of your examples, like, hey, I feel supported if some people stayed back, or if you grabbed a chair, put it back after church.
Yep.
You kind of use that language in that scenario, but when you asked me to be like the co-host of the Zoom meeting,
yep,
you didn't use that relation. Was it because in the past you felt like a twang of not having support because people don't clean up after church, whereas with this scenario you didn't feel, or what? Yeah, what was the?
Sometimes it's just not a practical. It's like you're at the meeting. I know you. I trust you.
Yeah.
It's like it's not a big significant request.
Right. Yeah.
Just in how I would interpret that. If someone asked me to do that, that would be saying, oh, they have confidence in me. So I'm trying to be relational by saying, hey, can you serve me in this important way by doing this? Right. I didn't say use the explicit assertiveness language, but I let you know it was important to this going well that you do this. And so it would help me a lot. I think I said it really, help me if in the middle of this someone can let somebody get. So I'm always going to call that. So, but in a crowd, or if I want to move towards relationship, or like with our daughter, what I was trying to do is, honey, when I go clean the garage with you, I want it to be relational. You think of it as a task you don't want to do, but I think about that's how me as a dad, as an old guy, as a man, spends time, as we just putter around doing things. And so I wanted this to be relational. So it's a relational request, not a manipulation to get the job done. Because they would put the chairs away, whether I said that or not. I just want them to see those things as an opportunity to bless and care for one another, not just, hey, the job is to get the things done. And as a general rule, that's what I aim for, is trying to make those requests very connected and relational. I don't always use relational language in every context. But my hope is that people feel like what they're being asked to do is an expression of care and connection and significance, and not just.
Totally. So it's like, is it in some ways, if you're sensing that it could bring more clarity to the relationship, if you, like with asking me to co-host the meeting, there's no need for clarifying what the purpose of that would be. But with your daughter, you knew, okay, there might be a miss in me asking this. She might be thinking this.
Yep.
And so it's just kind of gauging whether there might be I'm not sure if miscommunication, but a misalignment of.
Yeah, and I think the other factor is, so one big idea, I think that's great, is where are we in the relationship, and what do you need to know, and how can I clarify this task and how I see it? How can we all see doing things together as more relational? I do think the relational language is most useful when we're actually trying to let someone know more about us. So it's useful in all those contexts. But if we were gonna go on a camping trip, and you needed to know me more, Ben, I would feel so supported if we did not cook with green peppers. I'm letting you know, do not feed me green peppers. No one will be happy. So just, I'm expressing vulnerability to you, letting you know you could care for me by understanding some food preferences. So it's as simple as that. You know me. Or if we could not take the most curvy road because I get motion sick, or very practical things I could tell you about you, or that I'm terrified of tipping over sideways. I can express that fear to you and say, could we not go on those roads where it feels dangerous to me? And I can let you know who I am and how to care for me by making those requests. And
Got it. And I could say, I want to know that about you, and thank you for bringing that in. That's the only route to get up there, is to go up this, but we'll go slow.
And then you say, we have to go that way.
Yeah. Okay. And then my other question, which might be for a different time, was the practice of sharing this information with others. Is it kind of just, it all depends on the situation, but would we be encouraged to go through like the slideshow, or is it more just kind of feel it out, see what's appropriate?
Yeah, it depends. If it's more of a formal class discussion, I mean, we teach all this stuff in almost any context you can imagine.
Right.
Sometimes it's very formal with the slideshow. Sometimes we don't have the book, and we're just saying, well, you might want to try this, and we'll just walk somebody through it. The opportunity for the slideshow is just to reinforce with the visual. I personally am not that. I'm a doing learner. So the pictures don't even matter as much as give me a chance to try it and then I learn. But that's just one more way for us to keep it straight and to help keep our thoughts organized, is to have those tools. And I'm continuing to edit the notes page that I think I've shared with you guys that accompanies the slideshow to step into some of the skill teaching as well. Some of the key points. I'll keep reinforcing those documents to make them more, but it just depends on the situation. If it makes more sense to have a slide, then use it. That's just some people sitting around going, how do you stay out of, how do you not fight? Well, one of the tools we use is really making sure we know what, what's going on inside us, so we're not irritated with each other. This is a tool we use.
Yeah.
So it can be very informal.
Okay.
Anything else on your minds?
So this maybe is just a question for clarity, Pat. So, you know, you mentioned these tools being dangerous tools. I like that. I think I'm trying to figure out in my mind right now where the line is when it goes from being maybe borderline demanding, where I'm just looking for a need to be, no, I wouldn't say need. I'm just looking for someone to maybe do something for me because it conveniences me for something else. Okay, buddy, I'll be right there. All right, I'll be right there. And between that and maybe, I don't know, actually wanting to connect with the individual, you know? So have you, in your time practicing this over the years, have you been able to identify clearly what that line is? Or is that kind of just like a felt thing in the moment? Like, hey, am I using this tool right now to get what I want or to really truly connect with this individual?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, for me, it's very much a feel thing. We worked on the meeting emotion with emotion, and last time we got together, and for me, I've done it well enough, and I'm enough of a good actor that I can say the words like I feel them, but I don't. And it's just like it goes out there, just goes slides down. Like it did not land at all. So I just think there's something spiritual, and certainly people are used to being manipulated. Some people like strong leadership that just says do this and don't feel, don't think, just do it. Some people enjoy that style. I just don't think it's healthy. And so I think we just have to be big enough leaders to go, okay, wait a minute, that was totally manipulative. And I think that general, so this would be a soul care rhythm, not necessarily a relational rhythm. Lord, is there any hurtful way in me? Think of all the things I've done with people and for people and asked them to do. Is that all pure? Is that all in love? And let the Spirit just keep those lists of counts. So between those two things, how it feels to me, what am I most concerned about getting a task done, or am I most concerned about the kingdom being represented well? That's the balance we have to keep in those requests. And greedy, ambitious, manipulative people, they use these tools. They don't call them these tools, but that they understand human nature. I mean, they know how to get people to do things, either by bullying or fear or false sense of lifting up or flattery. The Bible talks about flattery and how dangerous that is. There's all kinds of ways we can use relational things in broken ways. What's the end result? Do we feel cared for?
Hey Pat, a question on the prepare and enrich, that those charts you were showing at the beginning, is that like a byproduct of taking the survey and stuff, and they give you something like that? Or
yeah, that if you do become a facilitator, then there's a huge report that comes back to you called the facilitator's report, and then there's a couple other versions you can hand out, either a page at a time or as a booklet to the couples you're working with. That's the one thing I was asking if you and Drew might want to do with the couples going through the relational stuff this summer.
Yeah,
that would be a helpful snapshot for people, and we could probably weave that in to our Saturday time to go over that if you wanted, or we could do that Zoom too.
No, that seems like a good tool. I know I did it in the past, but I don't remember what our results were and stuff like that, and they may be different this time around, but it seems like that'd be a helpful tool for sure.
Yeah, I if you're going to work with couples in any context, I just think that or Symbis are the two I'm aware of that are really, really strong. I prefer the one because I'm familiar with it in the assertiveness language, but tremendous tools to get a really good. It doesn't declare anything absolutely. It just gives you lots of really good questions to ask and a pretty good understanding of how things have been rolling out and the couple's views of their own marriage. So I think it's a really, really, really helpful tool.
Yeah, nice. We might figure out how to get those started or taken or whatever, but I think that'd be a good plan for our Summer of Love arsenal.
Well, anything else on your minds? We can call it a little early if it's.
Yeah, one last thing. I'm just thinking about the active listening piece. When you're restating the request, to know them better. I think in the midst of that, sometimes there's an element of, humility, like really truly saying, if it's a conflicting issue, like accepting, like, I understand why you feel that way because of what I said. There's humility on one part to actually embrace that, where there may be on the other side of their mind fighting against, I feel like I'm right though, so when you are guiding a couple along, is there something that you can do to encourage or motivate that person to make that jump from, wanting to be right to saying, now I'm gonna humble up here and say, you know what, I can understand and relate to what you're feeling. I feel like that's a big jump for a lot of people. Is there anything that you found helpful to kind of encourage people to make that jump?
Being really good at being able to empathize.
Yeah.
The stronger you are at meeting emotion with emotion, the more you can, when you hit that pause button, go, oh my goodness, this isn't about me at all. This is about caring for my husband or wife and how they feel. And I can allow the care to override my concerns about the injustice, because my love increases and my sense of needing to be justified or right can be brought into balance. And it doesn't mean you never get to walk out the details and the facts. It's can I first express this place of care? So that's the one piece, is if people are struggling with that, okay, do you care? Because if they, and that's why we start with meeting emotion with emotion, because if you can't care, it's hard to do any of the other exercises well. It just becomes words and verbiage.
Seems good to me.
Okay. Well, it's good to see y'all. Let you get back to your days and vacations and family, and looks like Ben's just work, right? You're just working.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We'll see you guys. Thanks for jumping on today. See you soon.
See you guys.
Thanks, Pat. You guys.